Hello and welcome to our Affinity Leadership Circle for persons who identify as having a disability, brought to you by Developing Capacity Coaching. I'll be your facilitator for today. My name is Alex Pauly. I'm a behavioral scientist and an autoimmune coach. I've been living with rheumatoid arthritis since I was 18 months old. I've been visually impaired since 2008 and legally blind since 2019. I earned a PhD in behavioral science in 2021. I also hold certifications in yoga, breathwork, meditation, and trauma-informed yoga and somatics. I work with individuals who are struggling with an autoimmune condition and other chronic illness to take back their lives. This is the Solidarity Acknowledgement brought to you by Developing Capacity Coaching. We stand in solidarity with our global family for the end of the pain and suffering for all forms of oppression and domination. We believe solidarity is the path forward for dismantling the interlocking systems of oppression that harm the people and our planet. We have empathy for our brothers and sisters on their community-specific quests for liberation. And we're building a multi-sector, multi-generational, intersectional global movement for healing, freedom, and justice. Some of the norms to take with you on your journey as conscious people for equity include brave spaces like this one. While we are fully online and in a lecture capacity for today, I still want you to hold all of these different aspects of a brave space with you, whether you are watching this video alone or you are watching it with others. And if you take this conversation with you out into the world, expect that you are going to hear from a lot of different perspectives, people with different backgrounds and life experiences. Expect to be graceful with others, but also and especially to be graceful and offer grace to yourself. Know that this is a space of learning rather than a space of judgment. Here we'll think in terms of possibility. We'll both accept and expect to not leave here today with perfect closure. Again, whether you are talking with other people, taking this out into the world, or even and only talking with yourself. Expect the end to be a little open. Know that your intentions matter, but they don't override the impact of your words and your actions. So as you look at your past and you take these concepts into your own future, please accept your responsibility in the world. And also, this is confidential. Think about confidentiality as you move forward in your own space. The mission of the DCC is to expand the capacity of leaders to do good, fostering a more compassionate, equitable, and just society. Their vision is for all people, regardless of background, to thrive freely throughout this planet. And the DC coaching system is working towards developing purpose-driven leaders, transforming your personal leadership, building team capacity, shifting organizational culture, and leveraging data-informed decision-making, keeping in mind these goals and values of equity, love, healing, and justice. Today we're talking with and about the experience of life with a disability. Over the past decade or so, I've noticed that this term disability has come to encompass an even wider range of identities than previously accepted. Someone pointed out to me recently that the ADA, the American Disabilities Act, was only passed in the 1990s. It's not been around for long. And while even though, legally speaking, most states and the federal government will define certain types of disability, physical, developmental, or otherwise, in very specific ways, that doesn't mean that those are the only individuals who experience disability. Notice that at the beginning of this, yes, I brought up my lack of clear vision, but I also brought up my chronic illness. We now include chronic illness as part of the disability discussion, along with neurodivergence and other types of areas where, using the language of this quote, others might see some kind of lack. And so I want to use that to move us into this quote by Stevie Wonder. Just because a man lacks the use of his eyes doesn't mean he lacks vision. So often, the language around disability comes back to this idea that we as individuals who have disabilities are lacking something. For the conversation today, I would like to shift that discussion away from this language of lack and toward this language of what we have, not only in terms of physical ability, mental ability, but also in terms of what we bring to the table. Just because, for example, our current society tends to bolster individuals who are, let's say, coffee drinkers, right? There's a lot of memes around drinking coffee. Let's say another person simply doesn't like coffee, but they have this beautiful assortment of green and black and herbal teas. Would we talk about this person as lacking coffee in their cabinet, or would we talk about the 30 different kinds of tea that they're bringing to the table? Now, I'm using, obviously, a completely off-topic example here. But the point that I'm trying to make is that in this discussion of disability, of dis-ease, we often focus on the lack. Doesn't have coffee. For me, I don't have the ability to see contrast very well. But what I do have, right? The person in this example does have a wide variety of teas in their collection. I personally have an amazing ability to appreciate the beauty that is around me in a way that I don't notice fully sighted people doing very often. Because for me, it's not a daily occurrence. So on the days when my eyes are working in such a way and the light is hitting something in such a way that the contrast is so heightened that I can see every detail on a leaf, I do not take that for granted. In this way, just because anyone lacks one thing does not mean that they simply don't have something to bring to the table. Moving forward, we're going to be looking at a couple questions today. As this is fully online and we are synchronous, meaning we're not all doing this at the same time. This means that after I ask the question, you have a few options. You can fast forward to the next question, or you could pause the entire video and take as much time as you want or need with that question. What I'll invite you to do is after each of these questions, I'm going to stay on this slide and I'm going to hold some space for you here virtually. And so the invitation for right now is to stay with me. Before we get started, take a moment to settle in wherever you are. If you're standing, you might notice how the floor feels beneath your feet. If you're seated, you might notice the chair underneath of you or at your back. You might feel the need to bring some movement into the body, maybe swaying side to side, maybe bouncing the shoulders or shaking out the hands, just letting go of some excess energy, letting go of anything that was happening up to this point, and really, really taking your full attention to right here, right now. And as you are ready, you might even begin to find some stillness. And if it feels safe, begin to close down the eyes or soften your gaze. And think about your identity. Today we're talking about identifying as someone with a disability. I'm going to ask this question 3 times. And this first time that I ask, I want you to pay close attention to the physical sensations that come up for you when I ask, how am I currently using my power to unapologetically own my identity, brilliance, and expertise? Where does that land for you physically? I'm going to ask this again, and I want you to notice if there are any emotions coming up as I ask this. How am I currently using my power to unapologetically, without saying sorry, to own my identity, my brilliance, and my expertise? We've noticed the physical. We've noticed the emotional. Hold on to these. And as I ask the question a 3rd time, notice the thoughts that arise to answer. How am I currently using my power to unapologetically own my identity, my brilliance, and my expertise? Let that settle. Let that drop into your body and truly allow yourself to honor all of the ways that you do already. Unapologetically own who you are and how brilliant you are, and every single thing that you already bring to the table. If If you'd like a little more time with this question to take notes, feel free to pause the video. Otherwise, we'll move on to the second question. Now that we're sitting in our power, think about all of the identities that you associate with. Maybe it's your race or your gender, your nationality, your culture. Maybe it's one or more of your disabilities. Your sexual identity, your age identity. Take a moment to take an inventory of all of the ways that you identify, all of the things that make you feel like you. Hold these identities in your body. And I will ask you, how do these identities serve you as an asset to your work? How do all of these identities, all of the skills and knowledge and experience and perspective that they bring with you to the table, serve you as an asset in your work? Honor that. Hold on to that. Write it down. And we'll move forward towards wrapping this up. As we move forward, owning our identity, owning how it serves us as an asset in our work, I want you to take a moment here to think about the next best practical steps that you can take to honor your humanity daily, to honor this power, to honor all of the things that you bring to what it is that you do. Maybe you take a moment here and you add it as an alarm reminder to your phone. I am. I have. I bring. So often, especially with this particular identity, where the very label, disability, is a word that focuses on lack. I invite you to take today and every day from now to look at this reminder, to look at your full humanity and the power and brilliance that it brings, that you bring with you to every table where you sit, to every room that you come into, to every relationship that you enter. And honor that. Some final reminders here about ways of sustaining yourself as you move forward in your work. The Developing Capacity Coaching Group has these affinity leadership circles and also reminds us that it's so important to have anchors and sanctuaries in our life. To have these reminders of our humanity, this time to honor our strengths and ourselves as full and complete human beings with full and complete value. To have places, people, and spaces in our lives that anchor us in that humanity. And sanctuaries, communities, circles where we can go to feel peace, to feel sanctuary, to hold steady and have healing together. Thank you all so much for being here with me today. Last and definitely not least, I truly hope that you will take some time to take our assessment using this QR code and to share your thoughts with us. What came up for you? What are you honoring in yourself today? How did you feel about having this virtual asynchronous teaching? Did you find it helpful? What are you taking as you move forward? What's coming with you? Thank you again. Again, my name is Alex Polly, and this is the Developing Capacity Coaching Group's Affinity Leadership Healing Circle.